Hi, everyone. Welcome to the PERSUIT Podcast, where we talk about the issues facing legal leaders. My name is Alex Bullington. I help lead law firm growth at PERSUIT. Today, I'm joined by the wonderful Rachael Shilling, Director of Marketing and Client Services at Liskow. Rachael, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Do you want to kick off with a little bit about yourself, how you got into this role, and Liskow as a firm?
Sure. I'm Rachael Shilling. I live in New Orleans, Louisiana. I started my journey in legal a little over a decade ago. I've been with one firm that entire decade, Liskow, and it's a great firm. We have offices in New Orleans, Houston, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and New York. And we're doing some really exciting stuff that I'm excited to talk about. I work with a really incredible team at Liskow, and I get to work with really smart people every day. And so I've enjoyed my time. So that's Liskow in a nutshell.
Love it. I mean, we can hop into a bit more about the firm in a second. I actually would love to kick off today with how you and I connected. We were attending our first ever Legal Marketing Association annual conference, LMA, great organization, by the way, that I know is near and dear to you. And when we're at the event, Jordan Weinstein, our VP of Data and Growth, he comes up to me and he's like, "You got to meet this person, Rachael from Liskow." And I was like, "Well, like, what did she say? Like, was there something flattering?" And he's like, "Well, you know how most times at conferences, we go to a ton of these. People will stop by the booth, they'll grab some swag for their kids, they'll hang out, they'll just sort of be like a nice passerby." He's like, "Not Rachael. Like Rachael, like a scene out of Braveheart comes charging towards our booth and is like, 'PERSUIT, I have so many things I need to say to you guys.'" And that is how we met Rachael Shilling. So wow. I would love to hear more about that story from your side, and also your thoughts on LMA.
Well, Alex, I am shocked that you wanted to meet me after that. I sounded probably a little crazy, but the way Jordan explained it is pretty accurate. PERSUIT is, before I met Jordan and before I've gotten to know you, PERSUIT just sort of came out of nowhere for me in a way. So Liskow, we can get a little bit more into sort of our history and background, but we serve the energy industry. And so a lot of our clients are in that industry sector. And so it's just been really, the last year and a half, maybe 2 years that we've started to see energy clients getting onto PERSUIT. And so it just sort of, PERSUIT kept popping up into my inbox, and it took a minute to sort of figure it out, and just the live auction piece, which we'll talk about, and it just sort of came out of nowhere. And then once it was there, it was there. And I am probably a bit unique, but I actually like RFPs. And so I had this interest in it, but also this frustration with it, because I'm like, where did this come from? And what are you guys doing? And so I was just really, I was glad to see PERSUIT at LMA, and I was happy to get the opportunity to hear from PERSUIT directly about sort of, the roadmap and your plan and the things you all are doing. And so that is sort of that is sort of how it went down, though.
Love it. Well, you are involved with LMA. I can't remember if you are a regional chapter. I know you're quite involved, but would love to hear more about that.
Sure. Yes. So I am the president this year of the Southwest region chapter, and LMA, the Legal Marketing Association, it means so much to me, and I'm grateful that PERSUIT is now involved in LMA. It's a great organization. I hope that everyone in their professional journey has an organization like LMA. It's really connected me with some incredible people, so many friends in the industry, And they the association provides incredible education for legal marketers, but what the organization is really known for is the community that it provides. And I'm sure you witnessed it. I hope you witnessed it at the conference that you and Jordan attended. But it's like nothing else. The community it's so inspiring. It makes it makes your professional journey easier and more rewarding when you can surround yourself with a community of people who do, the same thing as you every day. And so it's a great organization. And I have to say the Tech West by Southwest conference that we are partnering with the West region on is coming up later this month in Denver. And so anyone looking to get involved in legal marketing, that would be a good conference to attend.
Love it. Yeah, it's quickly become Jordan's favorite conference. And I have to say the same on my side. We met so many great people. And yeah, as you know, when we look at sort of the personas, the roles that use PERSUIT the most, there's the marketing BD side and then there's the pricing side. So there's another separate pricing conference that we recently just came back from, but those are the two. It's just so wonderful to meet people that are involved in the industry and then certainly people that have a lot of opinions on PERSUIT in general. So we'll cover some of that.
So the pricing conference, I'm curious, did that conference have legal marketers or what? Is it mainly just pricing?
Mostly pricing, client value, LPM, some finance leaders, innovation. Yeah, focused on that side of things. Yeah.
Because you're really starting to see those two groups more and more overlap between pricing and marketing. So I was just curious.
Oh, absolutely. And I know that you and I have talked a lot about this. We come across a lot of firms that there might not be a pricing team, right? And so, as in your case,
Let's go included.
Yeah, you're having marketing leaders take on the role of pricing and working in tandem with folks in finance, but working closely with partners and coming up with pricing exercises themselves. So, we're starting to see more and more of those roles blend together.
Yeah.
But actually, I'd love to shift into how you, from a marketing perspective, have positioned Liskow, because one of the things that I've always been very impressed by in getting to know you and sort of seeing how Liskow operates through the platform is you have, as a firm, incredibly deep energy and maritime legal expertise, right? And we've talked about this from a literal sense. You aren't an AmLaw 25 firm with 1,000 attorneys and, global offices. But yet you're always competing for some of these really big matters across global corporations with some of these big brand firms. And there's nothing against those big brand firms. Like, we love all firms, but how have you gone about really helping Liskow stand out when we're in a market where seemingly every other headline is dominated by a massive, massive firm?
Yeah, it's, Liskow's brand is, I think, very unique. We started, when we started, and it's actually our 90th anniversary. So
congrats,
our history,
by the way.
Thanks. Our history is sort of top of mind for us right now, but we started as an energy firm. Energy, that's our roots. That's where we started. And we've really stayed true to those roots. We've embraced how we started. We've continued that, and we've really stayed true to our brand. And I think that has really allowed us to market that brand well. We're actually going through a strategic planning exercise at the firm right now. And as I talk to peers at other firms, I think what we are doing a bit differently, and this speaks to kind of staying true to our brand and continuing, where we started, but also evolving. As we think about the future, I think we've done a great job of recognizing how we started, what we've done, the clients we've served, what we've done for those clients, and worked really hard to continue that brand and to incorporate, as we think about where we're going, to incorporate that history and that brand. And I think we've done that really well.
Well, I think that level of history and expertise that you have is where PERSUIT does help firms like Liskow really stand out on the platform, because, we we talk about, matter level competitive bidding a lot, right? And that can be new for a lot of firms. We think at this point, and there's plenty of other tools in the market that have come in, and you're starting to see more global corporations run some sort of RFP process with their firms. But if you put yourself in the shoes of an oil and gas client, let's say, and they're able to start comparing firms down to matter level expertise of a firm, that helps a firm like Liskow, because now you're saying, for this particular concern that you have as a business, we believe we're best positioned to take this on based on our team, our history, our expertise, versus just relying on a brand name. And again, there's nothing against, incumbent big brand firms, but when you're a client, it's incredible because you know that you're getting that best value firm that can do the best work for that particular concern, that particular matter in that moment. And still be operating and working and partnering with all of your other firms as you normally would. And if you're a firm like Liskow, this is giving you more at-bats and more visibility into these matters that you otherwise wouldn't have seen. And so if I take my marketing cap off for a second, we always think it's a win-win for clients and firms. But do you all believe that through Pursuit? And I'd be curious to just get your broad Pursuit thoughts.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and I think the reason I like RFPs is because it's an opportunity, and it's an opportunity to showcase, who we are, what we bring to the table, the value that we provide. And so I get probably weirdly excited every time that we get an RFP, except for those instances when I was seeing Pursuit pop up, because I'm like, what is going on? But no, so just in general, I appreciate RFPs. Are they time consuming? Yes. Are there some that we participate in that, we don't get? Yes. But I see RFPs as a good thing. And I do agree that more and more we are receiving RFPs at the matter level versus just, RFPs for panel firm list or just RFPs about our experience in general. And so I do appreciate the matter level RFPs. And I think Pursuit does a good job of taking out all of the sort of not fluff, but just the questions that don't really allow for you to provide meaningful responses. I think Pursuit has done a great job of the questions that, are being asked, and the way that you are sort of framing the RFP allows for us to really showcase the value, showcase our expertise. So yeah, we've been really happy with the opportunities, and I do agree that it does seem as though we have had access to more opportunities, because I think just the way the platform is set up and the way you position it in front of companies, it does allow for it to sort of promote firms that have more, matter level expertise, that subject matter expertise.
Yeah, absolutely. And did you feel, you've talked a few times now about the first couple of instances when you got this RFP from Pursuit from a client, did you feel like there was a lot of internal education that needed to happen with your team, with partners, other attorneys about, hey, this is what clients are expecting of us now? And we always call it the right to win a client's work. I'm curious how they have all sort of maybe changed their tune or not, and what that level of education looked like internally.
Yeah. And you may notice I'm laughing as we are talking through this, and I'm thinking back with my initial experience with Pursuit. I do think some of my frustration, I've actually never told you this, Alex, but
oh boy.
Yes. So one of the, I don't know, maybe it was the fourth or fifth RFP that we received through Pursuit. I was actually in the hospital getting ready to welcome my third son.
Oh my gosh.
And responding to an RFP in Pursuit. And so maybe as we are thinking through all of this, maybe that has a little bit to do with the frustration too. So please share that with Jordan so he knows that, maybe that was driving my craziness too. But so yes, going back to your original question. So we are always trying to inform attorneys internally of just trends in general with hiring law firms. The decade that I've been here, the just the transition with RFPs, but just in general, how companies are hiring law firms has changed so drastically. And depending on the client base that you serve, you may not, if you work with smaller companies or individuals, or depending on the market you are in, you may not, ever be on the end of an RFP. And so we try to look at the hiring of our law firm from a global view and share that with attorneys. So even if they aren't involved in an RFP, they still understand, the latest trends on how our firm is being hired. But yes, with Pursuit in general, it has definitely taken a bit of education. And on my end too, at the beginning, I really had to figure out Pursuit, and it's a great platform. It's user friendly. It's straightforward, but it's different. It's different than just receiving an RFP in your inbox. And in a lot of ways, a good difference. So I know we've talked about this before, Alex. I appreciate that. I don't have to read through 7 pages of instructions to try and figure out what the RFP is asking. It's consistent, it's streamlined, it has everything centralized in one place. So now that we are having more clients go to Pursuit, it's nice to have access to our previous responses and to have everything centralized. So yes, education on my end, education internally to inform, and it's been great to get to know Pursuit better, because I feel like it has allowed me to educate internally better. So when, someone is put on a Pursuit RFP for the first time, it's helpful because we're seeing so many, and I feel like I've gotten to know Pursuit so well that it is, it's helpful to be able to educate and inform, and sort of walk them through the process.
It's great to hear, honestly. And we always say that for firms, the expectation from clients is like lean in, right? And I feel like Liskow has really leaned into this process. This is what a client has asked of us. We're going to do this, right? We're going to participate. We're going to put our best foot forward. And I know for a fact that clients can tell when firms are really leaning in. They're really appreciating sort of this process in general, because if you put yourself in the client's shoes, I mean, they have boards to report to, they have a CFO to report to, and they're always looking at saying, okay, we've either achieved some level of cost avoidance, or we've competed out work, and we've almost guaranteed ourselves that this firm is going to give us the best option at the best value. And that level of reporting is incredibly helpful for them. But again, it goes back to, it isn't just a one-way street. And when firms do lean in, like you have, it can be quite powerful.
Yeah. I agree. I do think we've leaned in, and you said it. I mean, you hit the mark. We recognize that our clients invested in this platform, and and we recognize that this was a helpful way for them to manage outside counsel, and so that that's what we do. If clients, if they find a platform that works well for them, we will do everything we can to make it work.
I love it. Yeah. It's just the mantra of meeting them where they're at. Yeah, absolutely. Well, this wouldn't be a podcast if we weren't talking about AI. So to shift in that perspective, I am very curious, as both a marketer and someone in the legal industry, what is your current stance on AI?
As I was thinking about, as we were preparing for the podcast, I was thinking about AI, and it's something I do have, lots of thoughts on AI, as I think everyone does, because it's such, it's influencing so much of what we do today. And it's a huge part of our industry. And frankly, it's changing the way we work. But as I was thinking, everywhere we look, everything we are listening to is referencing AI, and it's helpful and it's great, and we need that. We need that education. We need everyone's thoughts and perspectives. But one thing I think we haven't talked enough about is what AI won't do and won't replace. I think that we spend a lot of time, at least at the beginning. I think that things have settled a bit more now, but at the beginning you heard so much about what jobs is AI going to replace. And I think there was this initial fear of AI just taking over and people losing jobs. And so I think it's important to also talk about what AI won't do. And something that sort of occurred to me a few weeks ago, I was talking with a great friend and mentor, Laura Maherg, with Wicker Park Group. I don't know if you've met her, but we were just having this conversation about executive presence, and the importance of executive presence has always been important, but it's so important now more than ever. Especially for those just entering the workforce, I think it's really important to focus on the skills that make you human. Things like, and again, these things have always been important, but I think now as AI is automating things and as AI is, allowing us to focus on other things and really amplifying us, it's time to sort of double down on those skills. Things like communication, empathy, having good judgment, being creative, being a good leader, being a good team member. All of those things, I think it's important for us to look for ways to invest in ourselves, to grow those skills, and then also for those entering the workforce, those who are sort of junior members on our team, really helping them find those skills and grow those skills. I think AI is fantastic at processing data, at generating content. It cannot read a room. It can't present an idea for you. It can't communicate the idea for you. Can it help you write an email that communicates it better? Yes, but it can't understand the person that you are delivering a message to. It can't read their cues. It can't be empathetic. It can't see their reactions. It can give you information, but it can't give you influence. It can't build trust with other people. That is so irreplaceable. And especially in the legal industry, this is very much, even as we shift into finding other ways to manage outside counsel and hire law firms, this is still very much a relationship business. And so I just think it's important to sort of pause for a minute and recognize the things that that make us human, that AI can't replace. It is fantastic at amplifying us. In every industry that you look at, there's opportunity for AI to make us better at what we do, but it can't it can't make us better humans. And I just think that there's so much about having empathy, being a good leader, being creative, and just being human. And I don't know, I just feel like we're not talking enough about that. So I kind of thought before we got into AI, and I'm certainly not an AI expert, so maybe I was just looking for other things to talk about. But I just think those things are so important. And the more we can remind those, especially, again, those entering the workforce, about the importance of those skills, I think that's, a good thing to focus on.
On that notion of, we talk about communication and the ability to connect deeply with clients, do you feel like you've had maybe a recent example of how Liskow has leveraged, we'll call it, that humanness in front of a client that continues to help you differentiate and stand out?
Every day we are faced with a challenge, and we may have to give someone bad news, or we may have to, give them an answer they don't want to hear. And I see our lawyers doing that well every day, and having empathy for people, putting themselves in clients' shoes, recognizing the challenges that they're faced with, the people that they have to report to. And our attorneys do that really, really well, to sort of just their legal expertise is so great and needed, and that's why we are hired. But to have that human element and to know how to put yourself in someone's shoes and be empathetic is definitely a skill, and I get to see it a lot.
Love it. Well, if I play devil's advocate and we go to the other side of the coin,
I knew it was coming.
Yeah, of course. We couldn't avoid it.
No.
What has been an interesting use case for you on the AI front? I know we were having a very interesting conversation about how you're leveraging ChatGPT and other platforms to do research and what you're uncovering from that, and how you think how clients go about researching you and other firms, how that impacts what you need to do from a marketing perspective. Very curious.
Yeah. So the first side of that, so we are using it heavily for research. So if if there is a meeting coming up and we want to help attorneys prepare for that meeting, we may, use ChatGPT for research. And it has been incredibly helpful. It's amazing. I mean, I don't know, 6 months ago, we would have been doing the same thing, but we would have been using Google and we would have been searching through, various articles and probably going to the third or fourth page of search results and gathering all of that information and research. And now it's like, 10 seconds and you have the summary of an individual or summary of a company. And you still have to fact check and you still have to check the sources, but it does that work for you so quickly. And the things that it has generated have been so helpful and insightful. And so as we've done that, I've certainly encouraged attorneys to, ChatGPT yourself, put yourself in there and see what it pulls back. Is it showing your blog posts? Is it showing the content from your bio that you want it to show? Because I have no doubt that there are clients who are using ChatGPT to research lawyers, just like they've used LinkedIn and gone directly to firm lawyer bios. And I think they still probably do that. But I think that this is another tool that they use to search for lawyers, to search for who has, a certain subject matter expertise in a certain area. And so it is another way, as we were talking about transitions, how companies, how they've transitioned from just the way they hire outside counsel. This is just another transition. This is another way that they are finding lawyers and that they are doing their credibility checks. They are referred to a firm, they want to do a quick credibility check to see if they have the expertise and the background. And I think this is just another way that they are going about that. So it's just something that I think we need to be mindful of as we are generating content, as we are putting together website bios. And there are others who I've seen, vendors who have put out great content and great research on ways to make sure your bio and the content that you are putting out is AI friendly. And so that's something that we have been focused on. And we've tried to encourage lawyers to use ChatGPT, for your everyday things, because we know clients are using it. And so it's helpful for them to become familiar with just the possibilities.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think on that front, we're probably seeing two tracks emerge where we certainly have seen how, using ChatGPT can do everything you just mentioned in 5 minutes and be able to pull attorney bios, past cases they've worked on, things like that. I think very much in the sense that Amazon always dominated e-commerce and they solved 95% of it, but there was always that gap of last mile delivery. And you had this entire industry born out of last mile delivery and all these companies coming in to sort of solve for that. And it was such a big pain point, but very lucrative pain point that was. And I think you'll see ChatGPT can cover 95% of a lot of research, but there will be specialized tools that can come in and go a layer deeper. We actually partner with a company called Firm Prospects that, in addition to sort of mapping out attorney bios across all law firms, hundreds of thousands of them, they will also map out, we know that this one attorney worked across the table to this other attorney on an M&A deal or another matter, or saw this judge X amount of times and had, this win rate, so on and so forth. That is another layer down that I think you'll start to see. Most people can get 95% of the way there, but there will be tools layered on top that can really add additional, we'll call it intelligence rather than insight.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I've seen some of those things, and it's incredible. And it's helpful to see those things that are starting to develop, because it sort of it gives us a glimpse into the things that we need to be doing to make sure it's pulling the information, the information that we want it to pull and that we need it to pull. I was at Liskow hosted this AI roundtable, and a comment was made that really kind of resonated with me. And it said, the person said, we always overestimate tech trends in the short term, and we always underestimate the trends in the long term and the impact that it will have in the long term. And I think what you're saying is right. We get so focused on what is happening now that we forget that it's a long-term thing, and the tools and the just the things that will be available to us 6 months from now will be it's just crazy. It's just changing the way we work every single day.
Agreed. And just transitioning to a closing here, I've got 2 final questions for you. When we talk about you're saying 6 months out, let's say even a year out, what are you most excited about with Liskow's journey ahead?
That's a good question. And
So
I'm
much.
excited. I really am. I really am excited. We're doing a lot of really cool stuff, and it's fun to be a part of it. I guess the thing that's most top of mind for me right now, we are, like I mentioned earlier, we're going through a strategic planning process, and we've done this before. And it's just always a good exercise to go through. It's kind of like a gut check, an assessment. Like, are we who we think we are? Are we doing the things that we should be doing? And are we preparing for the future? Do we have a plan? Are we being intentional? But it's kind of like a good health check, right? Like, are we, what do we look like right now? And is it who we want to be? And are we taking care of ourselves? Are we doing the things we're supposed to be doing? And so it's just a good exercise to go through. And there's a lot of great things ahead for Liskow. We are in a great place as a firm, and we have great people, great talent, great clients, great history, great work. And so it's just fun to be a part of that.
And very last one here. I give you an incredible amount of props for your time management. You alluded to it earlier in the podcast, but yeah, you're a mom of 3 kids. You lead marketing at this wonderful law firm. You're very involved with LMA. Just for the audience, like, how do you prioritize so well? What's your advice?
I don't know that I have, specific advice. I guess the advice would be find something, professionally that you enjoy. Put yourself in situations that make you happy, and it won't feel like so much of a chore to, I guess, manage that time. And I think too, you have to prioritize. You have to be flexible. You have to know that every day is not going to look the same, and you will have to give in some areas. You can't be everything. You can't have it all. You can't do it all. And I don't know, just sort of figuring out what makes you happy, what you enjoy, and you can do a lot of different things. You have to put the work into it and the time into it, but I don't know that I have real advice except to find something that you enjoy and makes you happy, and surround yourself with really talented, good people, and that certainly helps.
I think it's great. Find something you love doing, something that makes you happy, surround yourself with good people, and work hard. That's from Rachael Shilling. That's the advice we'll take away. Well, Rachael, I really appreciate you coming on. This was a blast. I know it was long overdue. And thanks for all you do, just for being an advocate and, user of the platform. And really excited to see what Liskow has in store and what you have in store as well in the future.
Thanks. It's always good chatting with you.